Good evening, I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Welcome to Newsnight. Supreme Court has once again pulled up all political parties for failure to check the increasing criminalisation in politics. The court has said that parties must explain why they bank on candidates facing criminal cases. Also, update on coronavirus outbreak. India has reaffirmed preparedness to deal with the crisis. Meanwhile, Home Minister Amit Shah chaired a crucial BIMSTEC conference on drug trafficking today. All that and more. First, the headlines.
Headlines is sponsored by Wonder Cement. एक perfect शुरुआत.
Government closely monitoring novel coronavirus situation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi compliments the team that evacuated Indians from Wuhan. High-level group of ministers review the current status and actions for prevention and management of novel coronavirus. Health Minister Harshvardhan says good and effective coordination, robust surveillance system in place. Death toll in China crosses 1,300. Supreme Court takes strong stance on the issue of criminalisation of politics. Apex Court directs political parties to publish details of pending criminal cases against their candidates. Also specify reasons for selecting candidates with pending cases. Union Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurates BIMSTEC conference on combating drug trafficking, assures zero tolerance towards narcotics, says India is committed to end the drug menace. Day 2 of a Jammu and Kashmir visit of envoys from 25 countries. Delegation meets Lieutenant Governor J.C. Murmu and Chief Justice of Jammu Kashmir High Court. Express satisfaction on the prevailing situation in Jammu and Kashmir. The 20th edition of Hunar Haat inaugurated in New Delhi. Hunar Haat celebrates the idea of Ek Bharat Shreshtha Bharat. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal exhorts people to use indigenous products. Supreme Court reserves order on Nirbhaya gang rape and murder case death row convict Vinay Sharma's mercy petition plea. Also defers hearing the centre's plea seeking separate execution of the 4 convicts to tomorrow. External Affairs Ministry announces decision to rename Prasar Bharati Kendra as Sushma Swaraj Bhavan and Foreign Service Institute in New Delhi as Sushma Swaraj Institute of Foreign Service. And Sports Minister Kiran Rijiju announces first ever Khelo India Winter Games in Ladakh in the 3rd week of February and in Jammu and Kashmir in the 1st week of March.
Headlines was sponsored by Wonder Cement. एक perfect शुरुआत.
Let's now begin with update on the coronavirus outbreak. Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan held a detailed briefing on the steps taken by the government to contain the impact of coronavirus outbreak after a group of ministers reviewed actions taken to prevent and manage COVID-19, the name that has been given to it. They were apprised of the current status of the 3 cases reported positive from Kerala. A presentation was also made on preventive steps and measures taken for management of COVID-19 disease in India, which included information about travel advisories regarding the temporary suspension of visa for all travellers from China. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in fact, is closely monitoring the situation. Meanwhile, China and the world continue to grapple with the disease spread. China alone is nearing 60,000 confirmed cases, with over 1,300 people dead.
Coronavirus crisis is nowhere near slowing down. China on Thursday reported 254 fatalities from the coronavirus outbreak, the highest in a single day and double than the previous record high, taking the death toll to 1,367. China's central Hubei province reported 242 deaths, while an additional 14,840 cases of the newly identified virus were reported. The overall number of cases in China now stands around 59,841.
截至2月12日24时，
By February 12th, now there are 52,526 confirmed cases from each province and city and Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps. Among those, the number of severe cases is 8,030. The cumulative number of cured and discharged is 5,911. Cumulative cases of death are 1,367.
病例59804例。
Back home, government is fully geared up through its various timely measures and sturdy systems of surveillance to prevent and contain outbreak of novel coronavirus in India. Government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi is leading the response against novel coronavirus. On Thursday, high-level group of ministers reviewed current status and actions for prevention and management of novel coronavirus in national capital. The meeting was attended by Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan along with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri, Minister of State for Home Nityanand Rai and Shipping Minister Mansukh Mandavia.
मनसुख जी जो है उन्होंने हमें बताया कि ऑलरेडी उनके मंत्रालय ने फार्मास्यूटिकल्स के मंत्री है ना अगले 2-3 महीने के लिए उन्होंने ऑलरेडी सारे मतलब पूरा अच्छी तरह से जो रेलेवेंट चीज़ों का स्टॉक वगैरह ही हैज एंश्योर्ड दैट देयर इज नॉट गोइंग इन केस ऑफ एनी यू कैन से अनटूवर्ड्स सिचुएशन विच माइट एमर्ज उसकी भी सोच के उन्होंने सारी दवाइयों के एंगल से उन्होंने बड़ा कैटेगोरिकली आज सुबह की मीटिंग में कहा कि सरकार ने उसकी पर्याप्त व्यवस्था की हुई है.
The Health Minister meanwhile also stated that the rapid response teams have been trained in all states for managing emergencies due to high-risk pathogens. On the other hand, the health authorities in Japan said 44 more people had been confirmed with the infection at the Diamond Princess cruise ship, bringing the total to at least 218 passengers and crew as well as one quarantine officer. The Indian Embassy in Japan has said the condition of 2 Indian crew infected with novel coronavirus on board a cruise ship off the Japanese coast is reportedly stable and is improving. The health minister has said that surveillance at points of entry is continuing at least 21 airports.
सारे के सारे 645 के 645 लोग they have all been tested negative. They are all being monitored daily. इनके साथ साथ सभी स्टेबल हैं. बीच में किसी को कोई छोटा मोटा सिम्टम हुआ भी अगर तो उसको बकायदा हम लोगों ने जैसे यहाँ अस्पताल में शिफ्ट किया वहाँ पे मॉनिटर किया.
Meanwhile, a passenger on board a SpiceJet Bangkok Delhi flight was quarantined after he was suspected of having contracted the novel coronavirus, the airline said in a statement. Mobile World Congress, the world's biggest congregation for the tech industry, has been cancelled over the concerns centering around coronavirus epidemic outbreak. Global telecom industry body GSM Association has been organizing the event annually since 2006 in Barcelona in Spain. With inputs from Nitendra Singh, News Night Desk for DD India.
Amidst these developments, Prime Minister Narendra Modi praised Wuhan rescue operation that was conducted to evacuate Indians stranded in Wuhan. The Prime Minister, in fact, has issued a letter of appreciation to the team members of the evacuation operations. This letter would be handed over to the crew by Minister of State for Civil Aviation. Air India had conducted an emergency evacuation operation from the Wuhan city in China, which is the epicenter of the widely spreading novel coronavirus flu. Despite being aware of the aforementioned severe situation in the region, Air India sent 2 B747 aircraft with teams of Air India and teams from Ministry of Health for 2 consecutive days, 31st January and 1st February as well, and returning the next day. Moving on to our next big story, the Supreme Court today reiterated important provisions of its 2018 order aimed at checking and discouraging candidates with criminal cases against them. This time, besides asking political parties to show details of such candidates on various online and media platforms, the Apex Court has asked political parties to explain why they are choosing candidates with criminal background. Apex Court observed that candidate selection should be based on merit, not winnability.
The Supreme Court has taken stern view on the increasing criminalization of politics in India. The Apex Court has directed all political parties to give details of criminal cases of their candidates on the website. The party will also have to give reasons for choosing a candidate facing criminal cases. They must make this information public on social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook. The information must also be published in a local and national newspaper. Parties must submit the same details to the Election Commission within 72 hours of declaring the name of the candidate. Besides, parties must file compliance reports with the Election Commission or face contempt action. The court said the reason to select candidates should be based on merit and not winnability.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने 7 डायरेक्शन पास किया है। माननीय सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा है अब पॉलिटिकल पार्टी अगर किसी दागी आदमी को टिकट देती हैं तो उनको उसका कारण बताना पड़ेगा कि क्या उस क्षेत्र में, उस लोकसभा के क्षेत्र में या उस विधानसभा के क्षेत्र में उनको एक भी आदमी साफ सुथरा नहीं मिला, एक भी आदमी ऐसा नहीं मिला जिसके खिलाफ कोई अपराध न हो। और यदि वो देती हैं तो उसके बाद उनको 48 घंटे के अंदर उस कैंडिडेट का पूरा विस्तृत ब्यौरा, उसके अपराधों का पूरा ब्यौरा 48 घंटे के अंदर सभी पॉलिटिकल पार्टियों को अपने फेसबुक और ट्विटर पे डालना पड़ेगा। 48 घंटे के अंदर उस कैंडिडेट का पूरा ब्यौरा उनको इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया और प्रिंट मीडिया में भी पब्लिश करना पड़ेगा।
Various political parties have welcomed the Apex Court order.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी हमेशा से अपराध और भ्रष्टाचार दो के खिलाफ रही है और भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने हमेशा अपराधियों को राजनीतिक संरक्षण का विरोध किया है। तो ये स्वागत योग्य कदम है सुप्रीम कोर्ट का। मैं समझता हूँ कि पहले से ही इस आचरण का प्रयोग भारतीय जनता पार्टी करती आई है।
बहुत सही फैसला। क्रिमिनल लोग जो हैं वो राजनीति में घुस चुके हैं, उनके पास संपत्ति भी है, पैसा भी है और वो क्रिमिनल लोग भी हैं। और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सही कहा है कि अगर आप उनका ब्यौरा जब चुनाव आए पब्लिकली दोगे तो एटलीस्ट बाकी लोग ये तो कह सकते हैं और पूछ सकते हैं कि उस दल को कि आपने इस शख्स को चुनाव के लिए क्यों चुना, क्यों ये जो जानकारी है वो जनता को भी मिलनी चाहिए।
Thursday's verdict is sourced from a contempt petition seeking action against the authorities and parties for not complying fully with the September 2018 judgment by a constitution bench that had directed parties to publish online the pending criminal cases of their election candidates. The court had also left the matter of framing a strong law to tackle criminalization in politics. With inputs from Vikas Sarthi, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And let's now, through the means of numbers and percentage, let us understand how challenging the situation of criminalization of politics is in our parliament, in our state assemblies. We look at some of the recent elections that were concluded and what kind of members were sent with pending cases. Criminalization of politics, let's look at Lok Sabha elections 2019. 233 of 529 MPs have criminal cases pending against them. That's 45% of the House. Of this, 159 members, about 23% of the MPs have serious criminal cases pending. When I say serious, we refer to cases like murder and rape. Moving on, the just concluded Delhi Assembly elections 2020, 43 of the MLAs of the 70 MLAs in the Assembly, 61% have criminal cases pending against them. Of this, 37 MLAs of the 70 MLAs that form the Assembly, 53%, over half the MLAs have serious criminal cases pending against them. Let's move on to the important Assembly elections that took place last year. Maharashtra, let's look at that. 176 MLAs of the 288 members, 62% of them have criminal cases pending against them. 113 MLAs, about 40%, have serious criminal cases. Let me reiterate, serious, I mean cases like murder, rape and other heinous crimes, cases pending against them. We're looking at Jharkhand Assembly polls 2019. What kind of set of MLAs did it send to the House? 43 MLAs of the 81 in the House have criminal cases pending against them. 12 of them, about 12%, we're looking at Haryana now, 12 MLAs of the 90 seats that are there, 12% have criminal cases pending against them in Haryana. 7 MLAs in Haryana of the total strength have serious criminal cases, cases of murder or other heinous crimes pending against them. In an affidavit in 2018, the government submitted to the Supreme Court that what happens when they become MP or MLA, only 6% of them are convicted the cases are pending while they're fighting the elections. Once they win, only 6% are able to win the election. Also, today's judgment comes in the context of the 2018 judgment by the Supreme Court. The court had said candidates are going to declare their criminal records to the Election Commission in clarity, in bold. They must declare it. This was one of the important directions given by the Supreme Court. Next, it also said that the parties also have to be responsible. They have to make the criminal records, pending cases against their candidates, public on different platforms on their website to begin with. Also, they must publish the information in newspapers, local and national, and also so many TV news channels through the means of advertising. They must at least 3 times show what kind of criminal cases are pending against their candidates. So those were some of the figures to understand how serious the issue of criminalization in politics is, and the strong view that the Supreme Court has taken today. We'll talk about the implications of that. We're heading for a short break. When we return, we'll introduce you to our guests in the studio.
इस लोकगीत में असम की संस्कृति बताई गई है, असम के चाय के बागान, उधर की हरियाली.
Really focused on the folk arts of Madhya Pradesh, the Gond art of Madhya Pradesh or the Bhimtal arts. They are so like diverse.
मैं तो भरेली थारी सहेलिया भरे चल बावड़ी में पानी सैया कुल तो भरे.
Welcome back. You're watching News Night, and we're talking about the need to clean the electoral politics, also in view of what the Supreme Court has said today. That brings us to the issue in focus that is there today. Cleaning electoral politics is the issue in focus this evening. And joining me in the studio to talk about it is my guest in the studio, Praful Ketkar, senior journalist. Welcome, Praful. Also, Professor Makal Lal, noted historian. Welcome, sir, to our studio. Professor Lal, I'll begin with you. When lawbreakers become lawmakers, when crime and politics is so intertwined, it's difficult to separate it. We looked at the figures moments ago on the wall. How serious is the rot in the system that we have as far as electoral politics is concerned?
See, how serious is a rot in the system? You have explained in terms of percentage, in terms of number of people, those who are getting elected. Yes, crime is a great concern for the nation. Supreme Court said, and also many people, that we would like politics to be completely eliminated from criminals. I will say, why not the country itself should be free from crime? But on one hand, when I appreciate what Supreme Court said and what it had said in 2018, giving direction about reporting the things about the crime there, now giving the direction to the political party to explain their stand on the person concerned. But I would like to request Supreme Court and the judicial system of India itself that they must also share the blame somewhere. They have similarly failed to check the criminals getting into politics, because the criminals know delayed justice provide them a space to get into the politics, which is safe haven. And therefore my request to Honorable Supreme Court would be that candidly they must accept that somewhere they are not directly but indirectly
so you're saying it's a shared responsibility.
Share the responsibility. It cannot be, politics is too important thing to be left to politicians or political parties alone. When judiciary is interfering in everything, it should expedite the thing. I think I would like to point out that Honorable Prime Minister, when he was elected, he said, if all the cases cannot be expedited, at least those who have been elected, their cases should be expedited so that they do not remain on and on and on. Look at 39 years it takes Phulan Devi case to be decided in lower court. By this time she was MP, she was lawmaker, and the kind of glowing tributes were paid in the parliament. And therefore somewhere not only the society, not only the people of India, not only the political parties, not only the individual, the whole system has to take the lead to correct this
Fine.
situation.
So various stakeholders that you're talking about,
by pontificating, things are not going to happen.
Right, fair enough. But we will also focus on the place where these candidates really emerge and operate, the political parties. Praful, I'll come to you. Court says make merit, not winnability, the criteria for selecting candidates. Now, again, it's a problematic point because then merit and winnability sometimes are also intertwined and exchanged. The merit of many candidates for a lot of parties lie in whether they can win the election or not at any cost. How do we realistically assess this statement?
This is, as you said, is a really problematic statement because, in fact, for political parties, winnability is the merit. There is a recent case, and I'll give you the example from Delhi Assembly elections, where the minister who was, not just faced the criminal charges, but actually found guilty, remained MLA throughout the tenure, and when he found guilty, his wife again is in the assembly. So we need to understand the process, how it started and how it has reached to this level, because the same petition about which Supreme Court was giving this judgment today articulates that there is a threefold rise in the criminals getting into the legislative roles in last almost 20 years.
Yeah. We saw figures suggesting 60% of places. Yeah.
No, I'm just I'm talking about the rise of numbers. And at least from 1975, if you go through that famous judgment on Mrs. Gandhi, Supreme Court has been talking about this time and again on various issues. What changed, post 1975? The clear-cut demarcation is pre-75, most of the criminals were used to mobilize voters. After 75, they realized that if political parties or their candidates are getting elected on the basis of our support, our mobilization, why shouldn't be there ourselves to actually make laws? And if you remember the famous discussion that took place after Vishwanath Pratap Singh took over as Prime Minister, and if I'm not wrong, the Law Minister Dinesh Goswami and the famous committee that gave the report, there was a hue and cry within the Parliament. Now, I would like to make one thing clear, because you again and again repeated murder and rape. The heinous crimes are not just related to murder. There are two types of cases about which politicians are concerned about. Besides heinous crimes and having real criminal antecedents, most of the cases are related to forgery and corruption. Please try and understand this. But the pretext that they are using to stall this entire process of cleaning electoral politics is the political misuse of this provision. And that's why this 2 years of provision is there. If somebody is actually found guilty and the verdict is delivered,
and convicted,
the conviction is more than 2 years, then only this liability is there on the political parties.
They also get disqualified.
Disqualified, yes. So till then what? That is the fundamental question. And without any party considering, the only honorable exception perhaps in this entire process of last 30-40 years, what I remember about politics is perhaps Mr. L. K. Advani, who not just resigned but said, unless I am clear from this, I will not get back to the mainstream politics. I think but political parties, society, an entire system has to take the equal blame.
We'll come to each of the stakeholders. Professor Lal, I'll come to you. As Praful explained it to us, we see how criminalization has become the part of the political culture. We see that it's a very usable sort of a tool at the hands of politicians to have people who can help them win elections. In a situation like the figures that we saw, some of the assemblies, also to some extent in the parliament, a significant percentage of candidates with cases pending against them, many serious cases pending against them. And these are the people we are expecting would bring in the reform of eliminating criminals from. So there is a. It's an irony, you know, that we'll have to depend on them to cleanse the system. So how does that?
It's a very paradoxical situation.
Paradoxical, yes.
That you want cleaning the things, making the law by people, those who break day in and out.
Yeah. Law breakers becoming makers.
That's what I'm saying. And as Praful rightly pointed out, whole thing began with the system that if they can win with our help, with our mobilization, threat and all kinds of things to vote in favor of a particular candidate, why I should not appropriate the same thing to myself? And that is where Supreme Court has to formulate two things very clearly rather than going as a thumb rule. There are many politicians, large number of politicians, I don't want to take name of one of them, about whom the cases are false, people know, party knows, everybody knows. Breaking 144 section of the law, that is also a crime, and that has been instituted. What is very important is, let us first segregate these two. What are frivolous, what could be just dismissed straightway in the court, and what could have the long-term impact in terms of conviction, whether it is murder, whether it is rape. And I think that half of the burden will be over because somebody has broken 144 section, somebody's frivolous case, all this has to be segregated. And I am of the opinion, if a government servant, if a corporate sector man, if he is convicted even for one day, he loses his job for entire life. Why these 2 years and somebody is convicted for 1 year, 11 months and 29 days. So he will remain political beneficiary all his life, and that 29 days becomes 30. Then it is finished. If you are convicted for a day, you are convicted and you are a convict, matter should end there. That's what I will personally
so
feel.
we also saw that figure, the affidavit that was given by the centre to the court in 2018, that once you become an MLA or MP, and if you had pending cases against you, the possibility of you getting convicted is 6%. So the 100 cases, 6%.
Criminals, exactly what in 1925 Harold Lasky said. Politics is last resort of criminals. Criminals know that once they are in politics, they get immune from law enforcing agency. I'm not talking about the judiciary. Police is under them. After all, police is working under them. Administration is working under them.
It's a complete subversion of the system.
Whole process slows down completely, and many times it breaks down. In UP, where I live, I know how in certain cases, under the rule of certain party, everything breaks down, including police. Rather than an inquiry officer, it becomes their servant. So all this has to be addressed, and addressing will be only, in my view, rule of thumb has not to be applied, segregate the cases, make them into various segmentation and deal with them accordingly, rather than just saying, because I don't want to take the name of one person. I know some people
this is a challenge that is
charge is 144, but they are carrying on.
Yeah, but fair enough. But this is a challenge that is pervasive across political parties. Praful, before a candidate who has a case pending against him goes into the parliament or the assembly, there is an important screening, important wall that he must cross. A very powerful pillar of our democracy, the voters. Now, there's also a point where the voters have a choice to make. Although the political parties are not doing enough to give out the details, they're not advertising it as much as the name and shame thing that the court had a vision for. That is not happening, and that's why the court spoke again today. To what extent are voters sensitized to be able to appropriately distinguish between a candidate who has criminal cases pending against them? There are times when it has happened that a candidate with cleaner, a lesser known candidate does not stand a chance in front of a powerful candidate who has perhaps cases, serious cases against him, but because he is powerful, because he can mobilize crowds,
and
is elected. So to what extent does the responsibility also fall on the voters on this?
See, we should see this in perspective. One is, what judiciary or even earlier election commission is trying to do is to bring in transparency. At least voters should know.
Right.
But as as a journalist, as a investigator who had done surveys on the ground, as a student of political science, I have observed one curious thing. In fact, in 1998, I visited almost 38 constituencies from where in 1996 criminal candidates with criminal antecedents got elected in Lok Sabha. And I also carried the same perception that they generally get elected just because of their money power or muscle power. But somehow, my that perception got completely shattered in 1998 when I got responses from people where they more or less carried the Robin Hood kind of image about the people with criminal antecedents. So that's why I started in my first statement itself that society is equally responsible. See, what happened post-emergency situation in Indian politics actually deteriorated entire political culture, the values, the nature of legislators that used to come reach the houses, respective houses, that completely changed, and people started seeing politics more as a vocation rather than devotion.
Now just coming,
So once you make it, now there is a clear-cut statement by the Supreme Court in this earlier actual 2018 judgment, where and it is quoting, citing the 1975 judgment, Indira Gandhi judgment also, where the court is saying that as per 19(1), it's a right of the people to know about. So I think this is merely about bringing transparency. At least I should know, and that much Supreme Court is ensuring. But as far as cleaning is concerned, I don't think beyond a point, as far as defining merit is concerned or other parts are concerned, Supreme Court has much role to play. Election Commission, legislative houses themselves, and society at large will have to play a
and
role.
Professor Lal, your final thoughts as far as Rajniti is concerned, politics, Netagiri, these are not positive terms in our society. How much have we done to change the perception?
I will sound a bit cynical, but the kind of democracy we imported and imposed on this country, one person, single vote, it was completely alien to our society, because right from Rig Vedic time till modern India, 1947 till this new constitution came, actually the panchayat system worked. There was no polling system. Everybody agreed on some name, and they remained very free. It's not a question of only finding in the books or storybooks or
institutional.
I am part of the village culture, and I know how it functions. Now with the imposition of this, my Jatiwala, my Desh, Robin Hood image he was saying, all this is working at the same time parallelly. So on many fronts we have to work or maybe go for some fundamental changes itself.
Right, so a lot of institutional changes. Very briefly, Praful, please.
The starting point should be, as Professor Makhanlal was saying, differentiating political cases from IPC related cases.
So that could be an important beginning point.
And the political agitation related issues, those should be differentiated.
Alright, so that segregation could be an important point, and there are different stakeholders, not just the political parties, is what we discussed today. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us in the studio and sharing your thought on this crucial issue. Moving on, Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurated BIMSTEC Nations Conference on combating drug trafficking in the national capital today. India is hosting the first ever BIMSTEC Nations Conference. Drug trafficking is a serious challenge facing India and the world. Globally, trade in illicit drugs is estimated to be around $400 billion a year, with an estimated 5% of the world population falling victim to drug abuse.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah on Thursday said India has adopted a zero-tolerance policy towards narcotics. Speaking at two-day conference on combating drug trafficking for BIMSTEC partner nations in New Delhi, the Home Minister expressed concerns over rise in drug addiction cases around the world. He noted that the money obtained from narcotics trade is also used for funding terrorism and other transnational crimes.
मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में हमने मादक पदार्थों की तस्करी एवं व्यापार को पूर्णतया कंट्रोल करने के लिए एक सुगठित नीति बनाई है और इसका आमूलचूल परिवर्तन प्रोसिक्यूशन एजेंसी का, प्रोसिक्यूशन के खाके का और सभी एजेंसियों के बीच में कोऑर्डिनेशन का एक आमूलचूल परिवर्तन कर एक अभेद व्यवस्था हम यहां खड़ी करने भारत में जा रहे हैं। मैं आज आप सबको आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं कि हम दुनिया में से कहीं से भी भारत में मादक पदार्थों को आने भी नहीं देंगे और भारत से कहीं पर जाने भी नहीं देंगे।
The trade in illicit drugs is estimated to be worth $400 billion a year. According to World Drug Report released by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in 2019, an estimated 271 million people or 5.5% of the global population aged 15 to 64 had used drugs in 2017. The Home Minister said that India wants to closely work with BIMSTEC and other countries to wipe out the menace.
तो बहुत से ऐसे भी नए पदार्थ है जिसमें नशा भी होता है और वो पदार्थ अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कंट्रोल के दायरे के बाहर होता है। ऐसे पदार्थों की संख्या भी दिन प्रतिदिन बढ़ती जा रही है। अब तक ऐसे 900 से भी अधिक पदार्थ विश्व में पहचाने जा चुके हैं। स्पष्ट है कि अब तक हमने जिस नीति या सोच के साथ मादक पदार्थों का सामना किया है, अब इस नई परिस्थिति में वे नीतियां सफल हो पाएगी वो जरूरी नहीं है। हम सबको मिलकर कुछ ऐसे नए विचार करने पड़ेंगे जिससे नए पदार्थों की उपज पर कारगर रोक हो सके।
India has established coordination with a number of countries and talks have been held with various countries including Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, Singapore, Myanmar and Russia to tackle this global threat. The BIMSTEC or Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation is a regional organization comprising 7 member states including Bangladesh, Bhutan, Myanmar, Nepal, Sri Lanka and Thailand besides India. The two-day conference is aimed to provide an opportunity to all the member nations to deliberate on the increased threats posed by drug trafficking and the collective steps that were required to negate such threats. Shailendra Mishra, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
President Ramnath Kovind today said that geopolitical situation across the world, especially in the Indo-Pacific region, demands greater vigilance. Speaking after presenting President's colour to Lonavala-based INS Shivaji on the 75th anniversary of its commissioning, President Kovind said INS Shivaji will need to impart requisite skills to all trainees to prepare them to meet the future challenges. The presentation of colour or standards by the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces is an acknowledgement of the unit's meritorious service. Located in Pune, Lonavala area, INS Shivaji, commissioned as HMIS Shivaji in 1945, is a premier Category A training establishment of the Indian Navy.
The motto of INS Shivaji is Karmos Kausalam. It means skill at work. It is indeed an apt motto. I am confident that INS Shivaji will continue to excel and grow in stature and accomplishments while discharging its role and responsibilities with professionalism and competence.
And the President also said that Navy is India's chief instrument of its sea power and is also the guardian of the nation's maritime interests, both military and civilian.
The Navy is India's chief instrument of its sea power. It is also the guardian of the nation's maritime interests, both military and civilian. The nation is proud of the Navy's commitment in protecting our maritime frontiers, securing our trade routes, and also extending a helping hand in times of civil emergencies.
Moving on, the 20th edition of Hunar Haat was inaugurated in the lawns of India Gate in Delhi. The Haat celebrates the vision, the idea of Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal exhorted people to use country-made indigenous products. Artisans from across the country have set up over 250 stalls at the Haat.
The 20th edition of Hunar Haat began at India Gate lawns, where master artisans and culinary experts from across the country are showcasing their talents. Railway Minister Piyush Goyal, Minority Affairs Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi and Housing and Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Singh Puri inaugurated the Hunar Haat. This Hunar Haat, based on the theme of Kaushal Ko Kaam, will continue till 23rd of this month. More than 250 stalls have been set up where talents from different parts of the country will be showcased under single roof. Speaking on the occasion, Minority Affairs Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi said that more than 3 lakh master artisans, craftsmen and culinary experts have been provided employment and employment opportunities through Hunar Haat.
हुनर हाट जो है वो दस्तकारों, शिल्पकारों, कारीगरों का एम्पावरमेंट और एम्प्लॉयमेंट एक्सचेंज साबित हुआ है। और हुनर हाट के माध्यम से जो हमारी दस्तकारी, शिल्पकारी की सदियों पुरानी विरासत है, उसको जहां एक तरफ मौका मार्केट मिल रहा है, वहीं साथ ही उन दस्तकारों, शिल्पकारों के साथ सैकड़ों लोग जो जुड़ करके उस स्वदेशी उत्पादन में लगते हैं, उनको उस स्वदेशी विरासत को परवान चढ़ाने का मौका मिल रहा है। लगभग 20 हुनर हाट हो रहे हैं और हर हुनर हाट अपनी अलग पहचान रखता है। कहीं पे एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत का आपको नज़ारा दिखाई देने मिलेगा। इस बार जो हुनर हाट का थीम है, हुनर को काम।
So far, Hunar Haat events have been organized at various places in the country. In the coming days, Hunar Haat will be organized in Ranchi, Chandigarh, Gurugram, Bengaluru, Chennai, Kolkata and other places. Addressing the gathering, Union Minister for Railways, Piyush Goyal has said that the government must work on mission mode to protect and promote homemade handicrafts and artisans across the country.
हर परिवार ये निर्णय ले ले कि हम अपने घर में हर वर्ष कम से कम एक वस्तु, ऐसा देश का स्वदेशी वस्तु खरीदेंगे, तो मैं समझता हूं इस देश में एक नई उत्साह, एक नई ऊर्जा हमारे शिल्पकारों को अपनी प्रतिभा को देश के कोने-कोने तक पहुंचाने को मिलेगी।
The President of ICCR, Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe, senior officials of Minority Affairs Ministry and other various ministries and other dignitaries from the country and abroad were present on the occasion. Artisans and craftsmen participating in the event are excited that their skills are getting displayed on a national platform.
हमारा हुनर है पेपर माशी का, तो इस साल हमें मौका मिला है इस हुनर को लोगों के थ्रू देखने का।
ये मैं प्रोडक्ट लाया हूँ पीतल का बना हुआ। जैसे आपको पता है कि मुरादाबाद का नाम जो है हिंदुस्तान में पूरे वर्ल्ड में मशहूर है, पीतल के लिए। स्पेशली हमारा हैंडवर्क होता है, हाथ से बना हुआ सामान होता है, तो लोगों को बहुत ज़्यादा पसंद आता है।
Cultural programs will also be a major attraction of the Hunar Haat, which will be organized on a daily basis. A Bawarchi Khana section has also been set up with traditional delicacies of several states available for people to savor. With inputs from Manish Bajpai, News Night Desk, DD India.
Army officials today briefed the delegation of 25 foreign envoys visiting Jammu and Kashmir on the security situation in the valley. The delegation is on a 2-day visit since yesterday as part of Union government facilitated trip. The aim is to help the envoys make a first-hand assessment of the situation in Jammu and Kashmir since the revocation of Article 370. The batch includes envoys from Germany, Canada, France, New Zealand, Mexico, Italy, Afghanistan, Austria, Uzbekistan, Poland, as well as envoys of the European Union. Yesterday, the delegation visited Srinagar.
The second batch of 25 foreign envoys from European Union and Gulf countries visited Jammu Kashmir to take stock of the ground situation in Jammu and Kashmir. The representatives on the second day of their visit on Thursday met the corps commanders in Srinagar, and the members also took stock of the Union territory's status. Local people also shared their views on this occasion.
यूटी बनने के बाद जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया ने जो कहा तो उनके कहने पर आज काफ़ी तरक्की में ये तेज़ी आई और लोग जो उन्होंने कहा वो ग्रास रूट लेवल पे हो रहा है।
नरेगा काम अच्छी तरह से आ रहा है, सब लोग कर रहे काम, ये काम आना चाहिए। गांव के लोगों को रोजगार मिलता है, इससे काम भी अच्छा होता है, सफाई भी अच्छा हो रहा है,
रोजगार भी अच्छा मिला और हमें मतलब फायदा भी इससे बहुत हुआ है, बहुत फायदा हुआ है इससे।
The bash includes envoys from Germany, Canada, France, New Zealand, Mexico, Italy, Afghanistan, Austria, Uzbekistan, Poland, as well as envoys of the European Union. The representatives of these countries visited Jammu, where they met the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Girish Chandra Murmu, Chief Justice of the Jammu and Kashmir High Court Justice Geeta Mittal and BVR Subramaniam, the Chief Secretary of Jammu and Kashmir and senior officers of Jammu and Kashmir administration. On Wednesday, the envoys had arrived at the Srinagar airport but could not visit Baramulla town in North Kashmir due to bad weather. They were taken on a shikara ride on the famous Dal Lake. The envoys on first day of the visit on Wednesday visited Srinagar and met Kashmiri traders, businesswomen and entrepreneurs and discussed various issues related to trade and tourism. Last month in January, a 15-member foreign envoys of 15 countries, including US Ambassador to India, arrived in Srinagar on a 2-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir and met over 100 people, including senior valley-based politicians, top newspaper editors and grassroots representatives. They took feedback on the ground situation post the revocation of the state's special status after the abrogation of Article 370 of the Constitution. News Night Desk, DD India.
President of Portugal, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, arrived in New Delhi on a 4-day state visit to India. This is President Marcelo's first visit to India. The last visit by a president of Portugal to India was in the year 2007. During the visit, President Marcelo will be accorded a ceremonial welcome at Rashtrapati Bhavan on Friday, followed by a visit to Rajghat. The delegation-level talks will be held with Prime Minister Narendra Modi at Hyderabad House. The visiting president will meet President Ramnath Kovind at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Ministry of External Affairs today announced the decision to rename Prasar Bharati Kendra as Sushma Swaraj Bhavan and Foreign Service Institute as Sushma Swaraj Institute of Foreign Service on the eve of her birth anniversary, falling on the 14th of February. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said, glad to announce that the government has decided to rename Prasar Bharati Kendra as Sushma Swaraj Bhavan and Foreign Service Institute as Sushma Swaraj Institute of Foreign Service. As a tweet message by Dr. Jaishankar, he said it's a fitting tribute to a great public figure who continues to inspire us. Today, 13th of February, is observed as the World Radio Day. In the age of internet and online streaming, radio continues to hold on to its unique significance. The theme of this year's World Radio Day is Radio and Diversity. It brings the focus on diversity, linguistic tolerance, and plurilingualism. Radio is seen as a crucial medium to celebrate humanity, intercultural competence, and democratic citizens.
In an era of rapid media evolution, radio still has the power to bring people together, offering a wonderful display of diversity in its formats. World Radio Day, celebrated on Thursday, the 13th of February, aims to promote the role of radio in our lives. Addressing the UNESCO-organized radio festival in the national capital's Indira Gandhi National Centre for the Arts, Prasar Bharati's Chief Executive Officer Shashi Shekhar Vempati said that Akashvani Radio exemplifies diversity. He added that by 2024, digital radio services will be widely available in India.
Hopefully, we'll soon, go through our tests, our trials, and come up with a roadmap on, what is the future of digital radio in India. Meanwhile, we have about 20-odd transmitters, 30 transmitters, which are already digital capable. So what we have done is, in cities where we have more than one transmitter, we have said at least one transmitter we will operate in digital mode, see what the reaction is, what the feedback is. Similarly, wherever we have a digital transmitter, at least for a few hours during the day, the broadcast will be digital. So this is a small step, a beginning. Probably by 24, we will have digital radio services in India.
On the occasion, UNESCO also launched a toolkit for community radio. Additional Secretary in the INB Ministry, Atul Tiwari, said that digital radio policy will be implemented soon.
For the FM radio also, we are very soon waiting for the tries, recommendations. Then we will also go ahead for the FM radio auctions in the Tier 3, Tier 4 and leftover cities. As regarding the future, we are also, through Prasar Bharati and All India Radio, we are also doing the trial run for digital radio. And I hope that within 2-3 years we'll be able to have a digital radio policy.
Following endorsement of a UNESCO proclamation, the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution in 2012 declaring 13th February as World Radio Day. The date marks the establishment of United Nations Radio in 1946. This year's theme is Radio and Diversity, focusing on the diversity of radio content and programming. Bureau Report, DD News.
The Broadcast Engineering Society Expo 2020 is currently being held at Delhi's Pragati Maidan. Organized by the Broadcast Engineering Society, the 3-day-long expo is one of the biggest events in the field of broadcasting technology. Prasar Bharati plays a key role in the event.
Broadcast Engineering Society, or BES, is the biggest society of broadcast engineers in India. It was established in 1987 to facilitate the public and broadcast information and entertainment through the medium of radio and television. BES works with the top broadcast organizations of the world. The 26th International Conference and Exhibition on Broadcast and Media Technology is being organized at Pragati Maidan, New Delhi, which was attended by speakers and panelists from across the world.
क्रूशियल मोमेंट है ब्रॉडकास्टिंग के लिए कि हम कैसे इनोवेट करें, कैसे जो बदलती दुनिया है उसमें हम ब्रॉडकास्टिंग को हर मोबाइल फ़ोन पर ले जाएं, डायरेक्ट मोबाइल ब्रॉडकास्टिंग के द्वारा. तो इस पे आई थिंक अच्छा ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग हो, ये मेरी विशेस हैं. इट्स अ चैलेंज एंड एन अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर ब्रॉडकास्टिंग एंड we should creatively leverage the broadcast spectrum that is available and become part of the 5G standards stack so that any new mobile phone that is developed is also able to receive the broadcast signals.
One of the biggest broadcast gathering in Asia last year, the BES Expo saw a whopping participation of nearly 300 companies from across 25 nations who showcased their products at the expo. Companies from Australia, Canada, China, France, Germany, Italy, Britain and America participated in the expo. This year, the BES Expo 2020 is being attended by around 4,000 participants. This edition of the expo focuses on how to strengthen the capacity in the field of broadcasting through technical support.
हमारे टेक्नोलॉजिकल पार्टनर्स जो इनसे हम इक्विपमेंट लेते हैं वो लोग यहाँ आए हैं. अपने अपने इंग्रेडिएंट जो ब्रॉडकास्टिंग में जाते हैं, दे आर शोकेसिंग देम. This is also an opportunity for our engineers and staff to learn about the new trends in technology and new products which have come in. In terms of education value, this BES exposition will be very useful for all my engineers and other people.
At the 3-day BES Expo, the participants will share their know-how in key broadcast technology trends. On this occasion, people who made outstanding contributions in the field of broadcasting in 2019 were awarded with the DRM Enterprise Award. With Neeraj Singh in Delhi, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And Kolkata got its second metro line 36 years after the country's first underground railway system came into being in the City of Joy, with the first phase of East-West Metro being flagged off by Railway Minister Piyush Goyal. The inaugural train zoomed off the Sector 5 station to traverse a 4.88-kilometer distance to Salt Lake Stadium. Goyal said that the entire 16.5-kilometer stretch of the corridor till Howrah Maidan is likely to be completed in a span of about 2 years. He said that the first underground station of the metro corridor, Phool Bagan, would be ready within 3 to 4 months and the services will be extended by October. Some more stories from across the country in Regional Roundup.
The Supreme Court appointed senior advocate Anjana Prakash to represent one of the 4 death row convicts in the Nirbhaya gang rape and murder case who was unrepresented after dropping his earlier lawyer. A crude bomb repeatedly went off in a Lucknow court compound today, injuring 3 lawyers in an incident which police said was triggered by rivalry between two groups. The budget session of the Uttar Pradesh legislature got off to a noisy start today, with opposition members shouting anti-government slogans during Governor Anandiben Patel's address to the joint sitting of the two houses. The World Unani Day is observed every year on 11th February. The day is celebrated every year to mark the birth anniversary of great Unani scholar and social reformer Hakim Ajmal Khan. The main objective of World Unani Day is to spread awareness about health care delivery through Unani system of medicines through its preventive and curative philosophy. Panchayat elections in Jammu and Kashmir will be held in March.
An Indian origin politician, Rishi Sunak, was appointed UK's new finance minister on Thursday by Prime Minister Boris Johnson in an extensive cabinet reshuffle amid reports of serious differences within Downing Street. 39-year-old Rishi Sunak, who is the son-in-law of Infosys co-founder Narayan Murthy, will join Preeti Patel on the top government bench after she held on to her post as Home Secretary.
39-year-old Rishi Sunak, a Member of Parliament since 2015, has been announced as the new Chancellor of the Exchequer, one of the most powerful positions in this country. He's Hindu, his grandparents grew up in India but moved to the UK in the 1960s. And he was seen as a rising star in the Conservative Party, but his promotion to Chancellor has come sooner than expected. That's because Prime Minister Boris Johnson conducted a reshuffle, moving some ministers to other departments. And he called in the former Chancellor, Sajid Javid, and said to him that if he wanted to keep that position as Chancellor, he would have to fire some of his senior special advisors. Well, Sajid Javid said no, and Rishi Sunak, who was only a junior minister this time last year, was promoted to the position of Chancellor. He has a very busy couple of weeks and months ahead. Obviously, Brexit has just happened and he'll need to negotiate what happens next with that. And also there's a domestic budget to announce, something that Sajid Javid wasn't able to do himself. But Rishi Sunak will be in charge of that now, and he'll have the responsibility of enacting many of the infrastructure projects that was announced by the Conservative Party. Prime Minister Boris Johnson will hope that Mr Sunak is the right man for the job and the person to deliver on the pledges of this government for many years to come.
Let's look at some more international updates in World Wrap.
NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has said that NATO will do whatever it can to prevent a new arms race with Russia despite maintaining deterrent strategies. Speaking in Brussels, Stoltenberg said Moscow's move led to the demise of the Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, which was designed to keep nuclear weapons out of Europe and avoid short-notice attacks. Rival forces clashed in the Libyan capital today, witnesses and pro-government of National Accord forces said, a day after a UN Security Council resolution called for a lasting ceasefire. Flights were again suspended at Mitiga, Tripoli's sole functioning airport, following rocket fire as fighting broke out between forces loyal to the UN-recognized GNA and fighters of strongman Khalifa Haftar in the capital's south. Rockets also struck residential neighborhoods, leaving some wounded. A letter bomb went off today at the offices of an ING rank in Amsterdam, causing a small explosion in which no one was hurt. A series of letter bombs have been sent around the country this week, including one disarmed near Utrecht. Police said an ambulance was sent to the ING building as a precaution after one person had inhaled smoke. Police also said the person sending the dangerous letters is demanding a ransom of an undisclosed size to be paid in Bitcoin.
Some good news for sports enthusiasts. The Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports is set to organize the first ever Khelo India Winter Games in the Union Territory of Ladakh in the third week of February and in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir in the first week of March. With an effort to popularize Winter Games among youth of the nation, 7 different sporting disciplines have been chosen. Khelo India Ladakh Winter Games will have Open Ice Hockey Championship, figure skating and speed skating, and the competition will be conducted at block, district and union territory levels with an expected participation of about 1,700 athletes. Competitions of the Khelo India J&K Winter Games will be held at Gulmarg in 4 age categories for both boys and girls. Around 841 athletes and officials will participate in the games being organized by J&K Sports Council and Winter Games Association of Jammu and Kashmir, with 15 teams from different states and organizations. Both these games will be funded by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. And with that, we conclude the show. Good night.